Between concrete walls, there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
Hello. How do you, it's been 3 weeks. I don't remember how to do this anymore. How do you do the, I need to switch the, no, hang on, no, hang on, no, hang on. Is it working? What's up, you guys? It's good to be back. Oh, I wonder if I'll have audio problems like a real stream, says KD2RDH Larry. I don't know. How's the audio? Alex! How's the audio? Does it sound good? What's up? Get this man a stream deck. Bot Grinder's here. Hello, Bot Grinder! It's always good to see other FPV luminaries in my streams. It makes me feel special. Regards from the Seychelles Islands. Rummy Tanir. I don't know where are the Seychelles? Seychelles. The Seychelles Islands. Is that's how I will refuse to believe that there's any other way to say it than the Seychelles Islands. It's clear that that's what that word. How does it sound? Well, Wikipedia says it's Seychelles, but clearly it's seashells, right? Because it's in the islands and there's seashells there. So, oh man, it's good to be back, guys. I appreciate you guys' patience while I was gone on a little bit of a trip. I wasn't gone for 3 weeks. I was only gone for 1 week, but because I'm not getting on a plane. Yeah, let's all just sit in a metal tube and breathe each other's rejected air for hours. So I drove, and it was a little bit of a long drive, and so I had a bookend weekend on either end. So I appreciate you guys' patience. And now it's so good to be back live streaming. And we're going to start as usual. Do I want to visit Malaysia? No offense, Malaysia. I don't want to visit like the other side of town. So these days, a lot of people are just like, please, Americans, stay out. So I don't feel like any international travel's in my future. As much as I would love to say, oh yeah, no, I'd love to come visit you. Yeah. Today we are drinking. It's beers with Joshua Grinder. IPA Pale Ale, Nevada Pale Ale. OCD FPV in the Discord says, I'm thinking of buying the Mr. Steel Apex. Is it a good purchase or no? I only you know how much your money's worth. It is a really good flying quad. There's no question. Could you get a good, just as good a flying quad for less? Maybe. But maybe there's people out there who are just like, no, please take my money, give me the good thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a good purchase. If you have $600, I mean, okay, if you want race stick quads to, oh wow, ouch. If you want Get FPV to build it for you, it's going to be $900. But you know, if you got the money, it's a good flying quad. Put that freaking capacitor on it. I hope they start building the Mr. Steel Apex with the FetTech ESC. I actually ordered the FetTech ESC to replace the Mr. Steel, the KISS ESC on mine. It hasn't come yet. I have been to Puerto Rico, Rock City FPV. I did go to Puerto Rico. One of the things people say, like, why are you a Rotor Riot pilot? And one reason that I'm a Rotor Riot pilot is that I have so much fun hanging out with those knuckleheads that it gets me out of the house. They're like, I really need someone to just say, be here this time, this date, now. And then I go and I have a good time. But other than that, I just want to sit in my basement and make videos and live stream with you guys. Okay. I also, Cement Kid, have the 45 amp FetTech coming. Should be pretty solid. Oh, we're going to start the live stream with news. Oh, hang on. Wait a second. Where's the news of the day overlay? There we go. Why is it the wrong size? My OBS, something has happened with OBS while I was gone. I don't know what it would be, but it's gotten all screwy. Here we go. Why does it not have... Oh. So you can't read it. It should have like an outline or something. I don't know if you can do that. All right, here we go. So you guys, I've set up an email address for people to send news for this segment. Oh, see, now it's overlapping with my little JB logo. That's no good. Where do we put it? Right. How about here? Is that going to work? Okay, we'll see. So if you guys want to send me news items that you think need to be in this segment, that would be super cool. Because you guys have sent me stuff that I didn't even notice. And let's get some of this stuff out of the way. Big news item this week. FCC issues $2.8 million fine against Hobby King. What the hell is going on there? This is not actually new. Well, it is new, but it's not as new as you think. This started back in 2018 when the FCC said, hey, Hobby King, some of the video transmitters you're selling aren't legal. And Hobby King basically gave them the runaround for 2 years. I don't want to misrepresent any. I mean, I read some of the responses and I haven't kept up with it, but like one of the things Hobby King said was, "Oh yeah, you know what? We're not even doing business in the U.S. We're leaving the U.S. market. We might even go out of business." I mean, and that's clearly not true. So the FCC, the FCC's recent announcement is, we have been trying to get straight information from Hobby King for 2 years, and they have been giving us the runaround. They said, hey, we need to know how many video transmitters you sold. And Hobby King said, oh, you know what? The Fifth Amendment says we do not have to incriminate ourselves. We're not giving you that information. And they're like, well, no, that's not how like disclosure works, right? We have the right to demand these things. So anyway, the FCC finally went, fine, screw you, $2.8 million. That's your fine. And I don't know, good luck collecting it. How are they going to collect it? I have no idea. But so this is new in that they finally issued the fine, but it's not new in that it started years ago. And this is just how long the sort of wheels of the machine take to turn. And some people ask, like XJet, RC Model Reviews, Bruce Simpson posted something saying, is this the end of analog FPV? I wish I could do a New Zealand accent, because I would be funnier if I did it in his accent, but I don't think I can. And I'm like, when was the last time you bought a video transmitter from Hobby King anyway? Like, yeah, I shopped at Hobby King when like 5 years ago when I first got in the hobby. Hobby King was the place I went. And now we have, like, I don't know. In the U.S., we have a ton of stores that are better than Hobby King. Not that they're bad. It's just they're better. Pavel Spikowski is here. Wow, everybody's coming out. Gal Kremer is here. So, yeah, Dave, Get FPV did get fined a couple years back. They got fined. I don't remember the amount. I think it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's the same kind of thing. So Get FPV's been fined $2.8 million. It's a massive fine. There's no doubt. I'm sure they're not just going to go, oh, well, okay, here's $2.8 million. You got us. I'm sure they're just not going to pay them. And then what is the FCC going to do? I don't know. But I don't think it really matters, because I don't think a lot of FPV people shop at Hobby King anyway. So that's news. How about this? Now, this is technically a new product, but it's somebody sent it to me as news. And I feel like I need to tell you guys this. What is this? New dual antenna video transmitter. Yeah. And so it's a video transmitter with 2 antennas on it. Don't buy this. Do not buy this. I don't know what they think they're doing. See this? It transmits enhanced left and right hand signals, which makes transmission duple powerful. Oh, duple powerful. Wow. Duple. No. There are ways that you can have 2 antennas, like DJI has true Mimo transmission. I haven't seen one of these. Kebab got one of these and like looked at it and poked at it. I've talked to various people like Kebab and Alex Grieve, and basically we all agree that this is, it's just, they just took and they put 2 antennas on it, but like you can't do that. It doesn't work like that. You can't just, just don't buy it. Whatever it is, it's like no one who actually understands. I mean, presumably AKK understands how video transmitters work, so I don't know why they would think that. I have no idea what they're going for with this. You can't just transmit the same signal into a left-hand and a right-hand antenna. You would get a linear signal if you truly did that. Whatever this is, don't buy it. Don't buy it. It doesn't make any sense. It's not. I don't know what it is. But everybody I've talked to agrees that it's not what you think it's not what you hope it would be, which is something amazing. Okay. Yeah, Mikhail Blackstrom, AKK clearly knows how to make a video transmitter. So when this first came out, I thought, well, what are they doing? Are they doing something clever? But it just looks like they're transmitting the same signal into 2 antennas in parallel. It's not even clear whether there's any impedance matching. It's just so clear. It's just so confusing as to what's going on there. Next news item. Someone sent me this, and they said, this is absolutely speculation. Could there be a Cadex Vista 2 coming out? On Race Day Quads, the product page for the pre-order of Cadex Vista, the heatsink looks a little different. And the title of the image is Cadex Vista 2, 1800 by 1800. Oh, does the heatsink look different? The name of the image is Cadex Vista 2, but that could just mean it's the second image. I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors about that. So, there you go. News. One more little piece of news. Someone suggesting there may be a 20mm KISS board coming out. I saw this in some Facebook group. Looks like it's running KISS by the labels. Oh, and there's Umagod's logo too. So, are Umagod, Tommy Tibahia, and KISS coming out with a 20mm KISS board? That certainly is what this leaked image seems to suggest. Very interesting. What else? What else we got? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's too... I missed the boat on this one. Oh, well. International Game of Whoop has already started. Sucks to be me. Sucks to... Yeah, sorry about that, guys. There's a bug in Betaflight. Not in Betaflight, in BL Heli. There's a bug in BL Heli. If you have F3-based BL Heli 32 ESCs, there is a bug with bidirectional D-shot, and currently disabling bidirectional D-shot is the only workaround. If you have super hot motors and other problems when running bidirectional D-shot with an F3-based ESC, you got to turn it off. They're working on it. That is definitely news. This is actually a couple weeks old, but this is the first news I've done since that came out. Anything else? What else? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, that's all. That's all the news. Oh, somebody's sending me news even as we speak. Okay. So that's news. There we go. Got a couple super chats coming in here. Phantom's here. You think Cadex would have poorer performance than the DJI Air module? Cadex does not use Mimo, which multiple in, multiple out requires multiple antennas. My experience is that the Cadex Vista, as long as you're in a low multipath environment, does okay. It has similar range to the Air unit at similar output power. The downside of the Vista is in a high multipath environment. That's where Mimo really makes a difference, and the Vista doesn't do as well. So if you're flying out in a field, the Vista is going to actually do just about as good as the Air unit. Whereas if you're flying like in a bando, that's when the Air unit's Mimo is going to make a bigger difference. However, I still think the Air unit is the one to get unless you just absolutely need the size, because the heat dissipation problems on the Vista are so extreme, especially if you've got it cranked to 1200. No, that's not legal. 1000 milliwatts only. If you got it cranked to max output power, the Vista heats up, it shuts down. 661 FPV. DJI isn't Mimo. That's interesting. I mean, it has two antennas. What's it doing with those two antennas? Isn't it not doing Mimo? What is it doing? It's all left-hand circular. Mimo, it doesn't require, I mean, mixed polarization is only one of the ways to do Mimo. You can absolutely do Mimo using linear antennas. You can have matched polarization. It has to do with the phase relationship between the signal going out the antennas. This is not a RF class, but I did used to be an RF professional. You can absolutely do Mimo. One way to do Mimo is to have cross-polarized antennas. Other ways to do Mimo, though, there's a bug in here, sorry. Anyway, so that's news. If you guys have news that you think I should cover in the live stream, let me know. news@joshuabardwell.com with news items for the segment. Okay. The next thing I want to do, and this is a Q&A live stream technically. I will be answering your question, but especially coming back from, oh, here, hang on. I want to put my stream schedule back up as well. Especially coming back from being gone for a couple weeks. I got a couple other things to catch up on. But let me get a couple super chats out of the way before we do that. Durzo FPV, thanks for $5 in the super chat. X-Hover 4 years back was expensive, like nearly $500, and that was when we started having somewhat good gear. Herschel Boyd, thank you for $20. If you were to build a Shinrose Geyser today, how would you build it? Motor, ESC, VTX, camera. All right, let's look at the Shinrose Geyser. Shinrose Geyser. What frame is that? Oh, it's good to be back, you guys. Shinrose Geyser, it looks like a slightly more squat version of the Squirt. Why has he got two? What am I missing here? Why has he got two cameras on it? Does he got one that is lined up with the GoPro and one that, wow. So you can have two different camera angles. That's clever. I feel like to build a Cinewhoop today, most pros would use DJI. The improved performance, especially in indoor environments, I mean, DJI is definitely the way I would go. I would go with a full-size Air unit, assuming the frame would take it, because I'm not as much a fan of the Vista if you can get away with the Air unit. As far as motor and ESC and flight controller are not such a... I mean, you could kind of go with anything that you like, because the quad is mostly going to fly the same regardless of which ESC or flight controller you pick. So just pick one that suits you. Probably going to be going with a 20 millimeter. I mean, I might pick like the iFlight stack. They tend to be pretty full featured. I actually prefer 30 millimeter because of the flexibility of the build. I'm surprised to see that Andy Shen is going with Brother Hobby Motors on this one. Brother Hobby Motors are known for being really powerful, but not as smooth. So obviously Andy Shen knows what he's talking about. Those would not be my first pick. We might go with something like the F20 motors from T-Motor, the iFlight 1507s, maybe even a 1606 or something like that, a bigger motor. Depends on how much you care about weight versus performance. To be honest with you, though, I would look at what a pro like Andy Shen, like Paul Nurkala, these guys are earning their living, bread and butter, doing professional work with these drones. And I would just build whatever. So, like, why did Andy Shen use Brother Hobby Motors here? I would never have thought to put those on a Cinewhoop. If Andy Shen puts them on a Cinewhoop and stands by it, that is what I'm going to go with. Part of being smart is knowing when you are dumb and then paying attention to what smarter people than you are doing. And Brother Hobby 2206? No, that doesn't seem right. Andy Shen's build log, this is one of my favorite things about Andy's setup, is that his build log, he just tells you all of the reasons why he made the decisions he made. I see. The Geyser has the adjustable GoPro tilt with a servo. So the GoPro can actually stay stabilized, and that's why this camera is up here. Very interesting. Very interesting. Durzo FPV, thank you for $5. Going back to that AKK VTX. So now finally that Mimo antenna you criticized from TBS holds merit. Haha, let's not go there. A Horrible Gamer, thank you for $5. Do you think the Orcas are good value if you care about future proof? What else do you need to buy to use it? Here's the question. Should you buy analog goggles today? Especially in the ultra premium price range. Well, so let's assume that you have all the money in the world. Yes. When I fly analog, I use either the Orcas or the HDO2s. The OLED screen on the Orcas and the HDO2s is better than the LED, LCD screen on the DJIs. The smaller goggles are more comfortable. The lighter goggles, they fit your face better. And there is just a little bit more latency on the AV input of the DJI goggles, although it's gotten way better. Now, but most people don't have the money to buy DJI and analog. So then you got to ask the question, should you spend $600-700 on an analog goggle when you could be going DJI? And so many people are just going DJI. Now, if you are going to buy analog goggles, between Orca and Fatshark, Fatshark has Bite Frost in the works. And I can't decide if that's a good or a bad thing, because what we have seen of Bite Frost so far, it's not as good as what DJI has on offer. I'm really sorry to say that. There are people out there. The fact that Bite Frost will have the ability to do HDMI input to your goggles, some people are going to go, oh, that is a killer feature. I am going for it. But in terms of the overall user experience, DJI is so far ahead of anything we've seen from Fatshark. When DJI released the 50 megabit per second firmware update, I thought to myself, it's been a year since DJI came out, and I've been saying, Fatshark hasn't even left the starting line, and DJI hasn't been waiting for them to catch up. And DJI puts out this 50 megabit per second update, and the picture gets so much better. And it's like DJI has already lapped them. So I'm not saying they can't come out and catch up, but they got a lot of work to do. Now, on the flip side, Orca has been dropping little hints that they are aware of the digital future of FPV. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. We haven't seen anything from them except hints. But on the other hand, we know what Fatshark has to offer. And it's... So, yeah. Are Orca's good value if you care about future-proof? If you're going to buy analog goggles today and you're concerned about future-proof, Orca seems to be the company that is saying, we care about future-proof. Fatshark seems to be the company that is saying, look, here, these are really good analog goggles, and someday we'll give you the ability to slap a digital module on the front of them. But they're not, they're not really like future-proof. See what I'm getting at? What else do you need to buy to use it? You need a module and an antenna. You buy it with the rapid fire. Schlupnat, thank you for €5. What parts would you recommend to use DJI goggles with my analog tiny whoops? The BDI Digidapter, and then your favorite analog module. The TBS Fusion looks the nicest in the BDI Digidapter because its cover matches. Okay. Yes. Phantom FPV really nails it. DJI $5 billion, Fatshark $5 million. Fatshark, it's tough to know how to feel about this because as a consumer, as a user, the product that DJI offers is so damn good. And that's not just this bought and paid shill saying that. That's so many people who are buying it, normal people who are buying it and going, oh my God, this is so good. They solved so many problems that FPV has had for so long. There are reasons, but I feel bad because like they're just a 500-pound gorilla who came in with an infinite amount of money and then just knocked the crap out of the whole segment. Fatshark, in a way, Fatshark never had a chance. Fatshark never had a chance to beat DJI at their own game. Fatshark, and I've said this before, if they're going to win, they have to fight their own fight and compete in ways that DJI will not compete. And I'm waiting for them to do that, but Bitefrost was delayed. So. Durzo FPV, thank you for another $5 donation. I assumed your comment about the TBS Mimo antenna was a joke. I didn't realize it was a serious question, so I didn't mean to blow you off. No, the TBS Mimo antenna is not a good choice for DJI goggles. A Mimo antenna system is designed to work with a certain kind of antenna. If DJI had designed the system to work with a combined left and right polarized antenna, they would have shipped it that way. DJI shipped the system with two left-hand antennas. That's how it's designed to work. Slapping and furthermore, the TBS Mimo antenna didn't even, I don't even remember, and I don't want to go there. It didn't even do, at least when Alex Grieve tested it, it didn't even do the thing that it was supposed to be advertised to do, I don't think. I don't remember. But no, you can't just take DJI. If DJI wanted it to have a certain type of antenna, they would have shipped it with that kind of antenna. They shipped it with the kind of antenna it's designed to use, and you can't just like slap some other random antenna on there and go, aha, it's even better. It's not like that. I didn't mean to blow off your question, Durzo. I legitimately thought you were joking and just kind of poking at me. Louis Leon, thank you for $5. Just wondering about me and Arduino and Python. I have done Arduino programming years ago. I haven't done Python programming ever. That's the answer. Okay, I'm going to keep answering questions. I've answered some questions. I do want to get a couple other things out of the way because while I was out of town, a whole bunch of products came into my mailbox, and I wanted to show you guys some of these products. Julie's, is there a good alternative to HDO2 goggles? Something with OLED. HDO2 is damn expensive. Skyzone Sky030 is about $400 and has OLED and a built-in module. So Skyzone Sky030, if you can do $400, that's a really solid choice. There is a new Eachine goggle with OLED screens in it, but hold on, because the last Eachines had problems with latency, and I wouldn't assume that these wouldn't either. Kinjuro Gi says, Fatshark had so many years to get ahead of the game, but they were content to sit on things as is with minimal, if any, significant innovation. Fatshark played themselves. I do think there's some truth to that. I am the biggest fan of Fatshark. They have made the best FPV goggles for so long. But you look at a company like Orca that comes along and is like, we're going to do, look at the things Orca has done, like the FPV Connect module that lets people watch your FPV feed via a Wi-Fi connection on their phones. Why didn't Fatshark do that 3 years ago? Because nobody was, they were solidly in the lead and content to just keep making goggles. They didn't have that hunger to innovate. They were an entrenched player. They had a solid position. They did what they did, and they did it well. And the problem is that if you do what you do and you do it well, someone's going to come along and eat your lunch eventually. You have to always be hungry and trying new things. And I don't feel like Fatshark had that. And they still make good goggles, but okay. Check this out. There will be a review of this on my channel. This is from Stan FPV. Stan FPV is the company. That's the guy's name too. It's a quad frame designed to carry a 360 cam, specifically the Insta360-1R. And because the entire quad fits within the seam line, the entire quad is truly 100% invisible. How about that? So that, by the way, the batteries go back here, but they're not installed, so it counterbalances. It's got these FPV cycle motors from Babrugi Kebab. These are like 22, I don't know what they are. Look at these freaking little pancake motors. Uses 3-inch props. I'm so looking forward to fly this. This is really freaking cool. So that came in the mail. Gotta find a way to put it down where I don't mess up the lens here. Put the lens down on this towel. This came in the mail. IFlight. Do you make too many quads, IFlight? What is this? Got so many quads. This is the IFlight. I got XL5, I think. What is it? XL5 Titan. XL5 HD. Look at that. Why's it got a GPS in the back? What's going on there? Is this like a GPS? Is this an iNav quad? I have no idea what this is supposed to be. It's like a freestyle quad, but it's got a GPS in the back. Got DJI. All right, iFlight. Stop making so many quads. It's hard to review them all. I can't review them all. But iFlight sent me this. How much does it cost? Titan XL5 HD. Titan. How much does it cost? That's always the big question. Quad of the year? Drone Camps RC crowning another quad of the year. Sorry, I shouldn't go after. Drone Camps, I love you. It's like, I understand the urge to get people to click, but you can't declare the quad of the year every week. Drone Camps and UAV Futures, both. This is my impression of UAV Futures ordering from McDonald's. I'd like a quarter pounder. I'd like a quarter pounder with cheese meal, please, and a Coke. Whoa, hamburger of the year! Next day, like a quarter pounder with cheese meal, please, and a Diet Coke. Whoa, hamburger of the year! I'm so sorry, Stu. I'm so sorry, Stu. Okay, I'm so sorry. Stu takes so many shots at me, and I don't mind. It's all in good fun. So I feel like that's fair game, Stu. He takes so many shots at me. Every time Stu takes a shot at me in a video, somebody comes over to my comments and is like, "Did you hear what Stu said about you? Did you hear what he said?" I'm like, "Calm down. It's okay." Okay, Titan XL5. Meanwhile, this is Bardwell. This is Bardwell. Hello? Yeah, this is McDonald's. Here, wait, I have a cell phone here. Hello, McDonald's. Yeah, you sent me a. I think you did send me a quarter pounder. I think it's over there in the closet. No, it was 2 months ago you sent that. No, I will. I probably am gonna review it. Yeah. A quarter pounder. Oh, and a Big Mac. I mean, I'm sure they're in the pile. Okay, I'll go take a look. Hello, Burger King? You sent me a Whopper to review? No, I'm definitely... I'm... How long has it been? Okay, that's me. Titan XL5. 450 bucks. What if you put Crossfire? Crossfire in it. That's expensive. I mean, granted, it's got an air unit in it. So if it's got an air unit in it, it's going to be expensive. Take off 150 bucks for the air unit, 470. It's a 300-ish. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with this. Anyway, we'll give it a fly. Okay. This is why you guys tune in for the live streams. Okay. This is the Beta FPV X Night. This is a 5-inch, sub 250 gram. And here's the thing. I hate this quad. Not because of anything about this quad. I believe that this is a very good example of what it is. But I don't want to live in a world where this quad needs to exist. Because the reason that quads like this, the reason a 5-inch toothpick exists, is because of regulations that force us to be under 250 grams. There is no reason for this quad to exist. This quad would be better with bigger motors, with thicker arms, with a heavier base plate, with a bigger battery. It would be better in every way if it were more than 250 grams. So, I am so bittersweet about these quads because this is probably, I haven't flown it yet, this is probably a fantastic achievement to get a 5-inch quad under 250 grams. It probably flies amazing. And the minute you crash it, I guarantee you, you're going to bend one of these motor shafts. You cannot put 5-inch props on a 2mm motor shaft and expect any kind of durability at all. That's just my experience. I guarantee you that's going to be true in this case. I haven't flown it yet. I guarantee you these arms are going to break. I haven't flown it yet. So I'm so mad about this quad. Beta FPV, thank you for sending me this quad. I am going to give it a fair shake in the review. But I just don't want to believe, I don't want to live in a world where this needs to exist because it's a world where we're limited to 250 grams. And that is so depressing. Nick Sebring is at Camp Lejeune. Nick Sebring, did you join the Marines? Camp Lejeune. I assume you're working at Camp Lejeune, Nick, and not in the military. Ciati FPV is here. He says, yep, anything over 240 grams with 2mm motor shafts is hopeless. So, like, look, guys, if you Beta FPV, hey, I haven't even reviewed your quad yet. If you're serious about this, give me a 3mm motor shaft. Can you do that? Can you give me a 3mm motor shaft and a motor this size? Or do the bearings not, like, is that not possible? This goes back to 1806 motors. Okay, so I will say 1806 motors are taller. Maybe these, I don't know. Anyway. Newbie Drone is now selling an Acrobee with a Project Mockingbird tune pre-installed. Nick Sebring is Navy. As a Navy corpsman, retired. Didn't know that about you, Nick. That's cool. And last thing, Tiny Train. Oh, we're 40 minutes into the live stream. I'm about to start taking questions. Tiny Trainer. It's still in a box. I haven't built it. How Evan Turner, what do you... No. Evan Turner says that he designed this Tiny Trainer so he could practice for his DRL sessions. How do you build a 3-inch that flies like a 7-inch? That doesn't even make sense. Nevertheless, a lot of people are loving this build. And there's even spec races around it, so I'm going to give this a try. Anyway. Albert Kim says, if you want to fly a 5-inch but don't want to register, what other options are there? You're right, Albert, but I hate that you're right. I don't want you to be right. I don't want to live in a world where... Okay. Jildor, don't do that. I need to turn off the voice chat. How do I... Oh, great, Jildor. Thanks. Now I'm hearing voice chat messages from my frickin' permissions. How do I turn that off, Jildor? Where's the ability to... just don't do it again, Jildor. Don't do it. I'm going to turn that permission off, but in the meantime, just be nice. Any new giveaway coming soon, asks Shuvam Sabu. Yep, new month is coming up. In fact, it is now a new month. I do a giveaway at the beginning of every month, so that it will be coming up on my channel. Okay. Let's do some questions. Welcome back, you guys. If a single antenna in a diversity receiver gets chopped up in a crash, will damage to that antenna render the whole RX inoperable? No, not at all, Doghouse. The bad antenna will be ignored, the good antenna will continue to work, and you'll be all good to go. What state do I live in? James O'Donnell wants to know. Tennessee, the great state of Tennessee. Yeah, that's the thing. Patrick Rouhani and Albert Kim. I hate... Thank you, Betty FPV, for sending me this quad. I am going to review it, and I am going to give it a fair shake. But the questions I have in my mind as I think about this class of quads, the 5-inch toothpick, why would you not fly a 3-inch instead? You could go, like the freaking Diatone GT349 goes 115 miles an hour. It's also not incredibly durable. I feel like... I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Is this... I mean, I think this is just going to break instantly. Am I wrong? Beta FPV, thanks for sending me this quad so I could just talk shit about it on stream for hours. Why not just fly 3-inch? They say there's no such thing as bad press. I am showing the product, so there you go. Shurik, oh, great. Yes, Shurik, thank you for reminding me. Shurik in the Discord asks, what are your thoughts about the Xflip FPV goggles? File this under other products that you should definitely not buy. Do not buy this. Do not buy this. That's my official stance. This company, Xflip, I have it on good authority that it's the same company as Flip. Oh, what's the freaking... Damn it, I always forget their name. What's the company that made the freaking... Oh, hell. Don't... God darn it. They look so good, says Drone Racer. Yeah, so did the last 2 sets of goggles that this same company made. They put out a great 3D render with great spec. Topsky, thank you, chat. Topsky. Topsky has made 2 sets of FPV goggles. Both of them were terrible. They put out these awesome renders. They take pre-orders. The goggles are always terrible. Do not buy these goggles. And the fact that now they've changed their name, that's not a good sign, right? They realized that Topsky had a bad name. And now they're like, oh, now we're Xflip. Do not buy these goggles. Do not buy these goggles. Topsky has just lost any credibility they have with me in terms of FPV goggles. Some people are going to buy these goggles. Some people are going to be happy with them. I mean, maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one where they get it right. But their renders always look great. Their specs always look great. Then their goggles are junk. So, I do not recommend that you get these. I recommend that you do not get these. Ivan Karzorla is asking about binding Crossfire. Ivan, a question like that is usually better to handle in person versus on a stream. You're welcome to message me, and I'll do my best to help. Crossfire should be pretty easy to bind. So. Did UAV Futures review the Xflip? Oh my god. I mean, did they send him an Xflip? Yeah, give me a break. Give me a break. New Fatshark competition. Testing out an early prototype. Thank you. No. Gonna need to see a retail sample. Thank you very much. Gonna need to see a retail sample. Gonna need to see a retail sample. Send me one. Joshua Bardwell, Top Sky Prime 1S. Top Sky Prime 1S. Go watch my Top Sky Prime 1S review if you want to see what you get when you buy a goggle from Top Sky. Maybe this one will be better, but I would definitely not pre-order these goggles. I would definitely not pre-order them. Especially when you can get a really solid set of Sky Zones or Eoshines for $300. Okay, enough about that. Okay. Jens H, thank you for 50 Danish kroner. Greetings from Denmark. If I want a big lipo bat for charging on the road, what would you use? Jens H, I would just look for whatever gave me the best watt hours per dollar. Bear in mind, if you're going to take it on a plane, you have to stay under 100 watt hours. That is a 5,000 milliamp hour 5S is a good way to just remember. That's almost exactly 100 watt hours. And just look, remember, you don't need a very high C rating. You can get a low, like a 30C or a 25C pack and get like a 5,000 or 6,000 or, I mean, if you're not going to take it on a plane, get like a 10,000 milliamp hour and just search around and see what you can get a bargain on. But look for watt hours. Look for the most watt hours per dollar. Thank you, Tempa Delta, for 150 Swedish kroner. Stumbled on your channel not too long ago, and now I'm hooked on my micro quad. Looking forward to build a 5-inch real soon. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Kai Finson, thank you for $5. Do you think it's worth exploring digital using one of the ATSC broadcast standards? In particular, the upcoming ATSC 3.0 or even 1.0. I don't know about that, Kai. The thing is that broadcast standards are often not optimized for latency because it's a one-way transmission, so they don't really care about the latency of the link. That's why it's so difficult to adapt. People are like, well, high definition wireless exists. Yeah, but it's usually not like zero latency. So that's when you look at like the DJI goggles, there's custom ASICs in there. They've made custom silicon to get it done, to get the encoding and stuff done very, very quickly. Any FPV system probably is not easily going to translate over from a non-FPV system. Sydney Spar, thanks for $5. And Trouble Solver, thank you for 500 Norwegian kroner. How many is that in USD dollars? It's a pink. It's pink, so it seems like it's a big donation. $55. Thank you, Trouble Solver. Hi, Joshua. Today I set my iFlight DC-5 to bidirectional D-shot. I'm getting no issues before I fly it. Everything seems fine. When I throttle up, it cuts. So the first thing I would do is I would turn bidirectional D-shot off and see if that fixes it. And that will confirm that bidirectional D-shot is the issue. I'm going to guess that you flashed the firmware to your ESC. And when you flashed the firmware, you accidentally didn't change your motor direction from default, and one of your motor directions is wrong. And your quad is trying to flip out, and then it's detecting the flip out. So I would say check your motor direction. I bet that's the problem, Trouble Solver. Shiftfpv says, I've been thinking about getting the TBS Tango 2. Is it a good purchase or no? The weakness of the TBS Tango 2 today is that it doesn't support any 2.4 gig receivers. However, there is essentially a confirmed rumor that it will be supporting a multi-protocol module in the future. And the boards they're shipping now have a little plug on them, so maybe they'll even make it modular. If you're willing to commit to Crossfire, the Tango 2 is a good radio. If you're okay with the game controller style radio, better for thumbs than for pinching, although it's okay for pinching as well, in my opinion. It is some of the best hardware you can get for the price. Every other radio you buy in the Tango 2's price range has worse hardware in terms of the gimbals and just the overall build quality. It's just limiting it to Crossfire that I think is the weakness. Let's see. Sanjeewa Sampath. Please don't beg in the chat. You know, that's just not what we want to do in the chat, okay? Ask questions. I'm happy to help with questions. Joe Gray says they alluded to increasing the power to 500 milliwatts. The same is true, Joe, of the TBS Micro Module V2. The Micro Module V2, the Micro Module goes up to 250 milliwatts. The Micro Module V2 has a 500 milliwatt amplifier, but it's only going up to 250. What TBS, I asked TBS for a statement about this, and the gist of their statement is that they would like to update to 500 milliwatts in the future, but they want to be sure that it's not going to like cause problems. So they're still in the phase of figuring out if it's safe to let people run it at 500 milliwatts. And if they determine that it's going to be okay, then they will unlock that in the future. That's the gist of what they said. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, Joe Gray, you could go even further with that moderation, my friend. That particular user, hide user on channel. That guy's gone. That person has followed me from Reddit to my live stream. Exciting. Brinky, thank you for 50 euros. Wow, 50 euros, that is a huge donation. I gotta take vacation more often. When I come back from vacation, the super chats, people miss me, and the super chats are enormous. Your answers helped me so often, even if I did not ask. Thank you. Thank you, Brinky. Visual E-Films, thank you for $5. Always seem to have trouble with Spectrum. Everything binds, Betaflight sees a flight controller, but nothing on the receiver tab. Visual E-Films, that is your flight controller, your UARTs are not set up right, or your wiring is not set up right. Unfortunately, getting the receiver to work is one of the hardest things, it seems, in getting the flight controller to work, just because there are so many variables. And I mean, if you message me, I'll try and help you through it. I guarantee it's just a wiring or a configuration issue, probably, almost certainly. Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Dale Knight. I think you're trying to share that Reddit post with me, but if you keep posting that link, I'm going to assume you're trying to share that link, and I'm going to just hide you from the channel. No need to do that. I can't tell the difference between you wanting me to see the link and you actually being the person sharing the link. So if I block you from the channel and I did it and that was a mistake, you're going to need to get a hold of me. Yeah, Joe, I'm not sure if that person is I'm going to unhide that person just in case they were trying to just share the link because they thought I needed to know. I don't need to know. I already know. Anyway. Anyway, let's move on. Sorry, guys, some moderation stuff going on. What's your thoughts on the Eachine EV800D? Asks MadProps FPV. For 100, for whatever, $80, $100 is a great first goggle. It's not, it's like the fit on your face is a little uncomfortable, but it's cheap way, and so it's a solid goggle for the price. Pyrotech says, what do you have to do to make FPV racing your full-time job, like BMS Thomas or Min Chan Kim? Those guys, I mean, I don't know the details of their financial setup. I will say that it would be difficult for you to, excuse me, it would be difficult for you to make a full-time living just by winning races. Number one, because even if you're the best, you're not going to win every race you go into. There's always going to be bad luck. I mean, if you look at BMS Thomas, he's very good, one of the best in the world. He doesn't win every race he goes to. Sometimes you just crash out. Sometimes some Yutz hits you during the whole shot. And excuse me. So even if you won every race you went to, it still would be difficult because there's only so much prize money out there. So usually to be a full-time pilot means that you're not actually a full-time pilot, you're doing something else. If you look at guys like Mr. Steele, or Paul Nurkala, Paul Nurkala is a DRL racer, and he gets a salary as a DRL pilot, but he's also out there shooting commercials, right? He's also out there doing other things. I think it's very, very difficult to make a living as an FPV pilot. There are only so many slots, and unless you are not only one of the best, but also one of the most visible, like, I don't even know how, like, I just heard from Stan FPV, the guy who sent me this quad, and he said, yeah, I'm super busy lately. I got this commercial I'm going to shoot. I was like, how do you, and Tommy, oh my God, he gets to do these commercials. Mr. Steele gets hired to do these commercials, and I'm like, nobody even offers me those jobs. And I'm not saying I want those jobs. Like, that sounds like a nightmare. Let's travel, let's show up, let's be under pressure. You got to get the shot. There's a whole cast and crew waiting for you. That sounds like a nightmare. But nobody even offers me these jobs. Like, I have no idea where the hookup even comes from to get those jobs. So I guess I don't really know the answer. How do you get to be a full-time racer? My real answer is that most people who you think are full-time racers are not making their living racing. They either just have a lot of money, like family money, or they have another job that you don't know about. So, yeah. Vanover's a DRL pilot. So the DRL pilots have a pretty reasonable salary, but they usually are also doing other work. Dr. Buzz wants to know, what FPV cam do I recommend? Well, I mean, how could I not recommend? How could I not recommend? How could I not recommend the... There we go. I mean, this is the camera that I looked at and went, that's a good one. And then I tweaked it a little bit. Okay, it's out of stock at Rotor Riot. Whoops. I mean, it's not the only camera in the world, and some people won't like the way it looks. Some people will feel like that their taste, camera image quality is so subjective. But it's $30. I think it has pretty good image quality. And yeah, you can get an adapter. Do you need a full-size adapter? Yeah. So RunCam, if you don't have a 3D printer, no. Here we go. If you don't have a 3D printer, you can buy these brackets from RunCam, or they're sold at various U.S. stores as well if you're in the U.S. Nick Sebring has a question. Nick Sebring says, where did it go? Dang it. It rolled. Nick, where are you? Nick Sebring says, I just destroyed my GoPro 3. I see a bunch of 5 and 7 refurb for a great deal. What would you recommend? If you mean a Hero Session 5, there used to be a whole bunch of Hero 5 Sessions refurbished on sale for like $140. I feel like that was a hell of a deal. I think they're gone. I recently looked and I think they're gone. A refurb 7 is a great deal. A refurb 6 is actually okay. I feel like what I want is 1080p Super View. That's the minimum standard. And GoPro flat. And even a 6 will do that. As you go from the 6 to the 7 to the 8, the sensor is a little better. The sensor, I don't know what they're doing on the Hero 8. The Hero 8 image quality is so good. Like, something about the dynamic range, the colors. Every time I shoot with my Hero 8, I'm like, whoa, all of my other cameras look like crap. Like, even, like, the camera I'm shooting on now is a Panasonic Lumix G85. It's like a $900, okay, the body alone is like $700. It's like I don't know if it's pro grade, but it's a good freaking camera. Doesn't look as good as my GoPro. Like, the only reason I wouldn't just shoot on my GoPro all the time is it doesn't have adjustable lenses and stuff, okay, but the GoPro 8 looks so good. A Hero 7 refurb for, $200, definitely, just go. Yeah, I would do it. Hero 5, I can't remember the differences between Hero 5 and Hero 7. Joe Gray recommends the RunCam Orange. The RunCam Orange is okay. It's not bad. It's close. The lack of super view. Okay, you could do super view in post. And the lack of ProTune flat. I feel like ProTune flat makes a big difference in your ability to color grade in post. Although, a few years ago, I was the guy saying, I don't color grade in post. I just shoot in GoPro color. I haven't got time for that nonsense. So... Is it a problem to change the lens protector on the Hero 8, says Sweepa. Sweepa, I don't think you can change the lens protector on the Hero 8. It's built into the frame. So, for example, you can go to... You can go to Camera Butter. Camera Butter makes a stick-on lens protector for the Hero 8 or ND filter. And... I would definitely, so you can either go ND filter, which ND filters are awesome anyway. You can go with something like this, the TBS Jello Guard mount, where the ND filter fits into the mount instead of sticking onto the frame, or the camera. They also, if you don't want to use an ND filter for some reason, they also make just a glass version. And if I was running a Hero 8 on a quad, I would definitely be using one of these, because once you break that, you're just done. You better have a Best Buy warranty. It probably would be worth it to have this GoPro LCD screen protector as well. Sticks on the back and helps protect it. Because once you break, the thing is, the 8, it's not really repairable the way like a 7 you can take the lens protector off. But damn, the 8 looks so good. Like, I hate to say that, because the 8 is heavier. It's like, but damn, it looks good. Sir Bounce a Lot wants to know, I'm planning my first build. I was wondering which types of screws I should buy. Buy an M3 screw assortment, and I like to buy both button head and cap head, because sometimes you want button head and sometimes you want cap head. Shula in the in the super chat, thank you for 229 euros. What's your switch to disarm on the Tango 2? All of my controllers are set up where, like, my left index finger is arm, disarm. So I use the left side 2-position switch on the Tango 2 to arm and disarm. Trouble Solver, thank you for 50 more Norwegian kroner. Very generous, Trouble Solver. Motors spin correctly. The quad flies fine until I throttle. Oh. Until I throttle somewhere above 49%. When reverting to non-bidirectional, it flies perfectly fine. Oh, that sucks, man. Okay, so if the quad hovers at all, your motor direction is right. And then as you throttle up, it falls out of the air. So what seems to be happening is that there's additional, like, electrical noise, and you're getting some kind of a signal problem. What you could do, Trouble Solver, is go down from D-Shot 300 to D-Shot 600 to 300, or 300 to 150. If you have F3 ESCs, if you have an ESC with an F3 processor, there's a known bug in BL Heli that may be causing it. Trouble Solver, I appreciate you've now donated like 250 something, 550 Norwegian kroner. Thank you for your generosity, Trouble Solver. If you want to email me or message me, everyone is welcome to email and message me. But if you want to continue to troubleshoot this, I don't want you to have to keep giving super chats every time we go back and forth. I'm happy to keep working with you on it. Yeah, when you go to bidirectional D-Shot, it's more susceptible to motor noise. So, Magic FPV, I see you trying to get in here, Magic. What's going on? Are you spamming the chat, Magic? Let's get you out of the way. Where is Magic's question? Are you still working for Rotoride or having any affiliation with them? Yeah, absolutely, Magic FPV. Ever since the pandemic happened, I haven't, like every so often, Drew is like, hey, guy, we're going to shoot. Do you want to come shoot? And I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm going to stay in my safe bunker. I'm going to stay in my safe basement and cover my face and not breathe. So I'm definitely still, I hope I'm still a cast. Drew, have you fired me yet? I don't think he's fired me yet. So I haven't been in the recent set of episodes just because there's a freaking, oh yeah, let me get on a plane and come fly in with a bunch of strangers. Sorry. But yeah, no, as far as I know, I'm still a Rotorite pilot. Tried Trouble Solver. Tried going to DSHAT 300 and 4K. No difference. Damn, dude. I mean, oh no, you say you have an F7. Trouble Solver, what ESC do you have? It's an F3 ESC that has a problem. Yeah, Julder. So the truth is, if you're going to buy a set of screws, I would get an M2 assortment, an M3 cap head assortment, and an M3 button head assortment. Excuse me. Here comes the coronavirus. And yeah, if you really, I would get the 12.9 alloy is the best. That's the hardest alloy. Don't get like the cheese grade steel or the aluminum. Aluminum screws are lightweight, but then they strip out so easily. So get 12.9 steel. You can get stainless steel as well. Personally, I like the black 12.9 steel. That's my joke. Sorry, Sir Bounce a lot. You can't cough in this world without someone thinking you have coronavirus. I'll be out in public and I'll have my mask on and I'll be walking around and then I'll like need to cough and I'll think, oh my God, is somebody gonna think I have it? If you're concerned about rust, you can get stainless screws. They're a lot more expensive and I'm not sure they're as durable as the 12.9, but you're right, the 12.9 will rust. Carlos Fadi, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Tango 2 versus Horus X10S. I mean, they're two completely different radios, aren't they? The Horus X10S is a beautiful radio. It's I mean, like, the ergonomics, it's maybe a little big for me. I would not like to carry it everywhere I go. And frankly, it's such like a nice radio. I'd worry about, like, getting it dirty. Some people love the Horus X10S. The Tango 2, much smaller form factor, game controller form factor. If I had to pick between the Tango 2 and the Horus X10S, I probably would lean toward the Horus because I prefer a traditional style versus a game controller style. But many people don't feel that way. And the Horus X10S is going to come in like $400 or $500 or something. I don't remember the price. I haven't checked recently. The Tango 2 for $60 is a hell of a value. Anthony Hoffman, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I have a Catalyst Machine Works America 3-inch with Tiny Trainer Tune. How do I add Horizon mode back? I mean, you go to the modes tab, right? Have they like turned off the accelerometer? You need to have the accelerometer turned on in the configuration tab. And then Horizon, that's what I'm going to guess happened. Anthony Hoffman, I'm going to guess that they disabled the accelerometer and so Horizon mode disappeared. If you go to the configuration tab, make sure the accelerometer is turned on, then in the modes tab, you'll be able to put Horizon mode back on. But seriously, dude, don't fly in Horizon mode. Just don't. Horizon mode, I mean, whatever. It's your quad. Do what you want to do. Horizon mode just makes you a worse pilot, though, in my humble opinion. Do what you want to do. It's your quad. As long as you're happy and having fun, that's all that really matters. But just, I would encourage you to either learn to fly in acro mode or just stick to angle mode. Because here's why Horizon mode makes you a bad pilot. In Horizon mode, you're in angle mode. And then as you deflect the stick, suddenly you're in acro mode. And if you only ever fly like near the center stick, or you do a flip or a roll every now and then, that kind of works. But if you try to do like a smooth banking turn, as you deflect the stick, suddenly you're in acro mode and the quad it's very hard to control. So the more you aggressively you fly, the more Horizon mode will hold you back, and you should just go acro or angle. Yeah, you're right. Toady RZ says just enjoy. Why I fly? Yeah, fly how you like. Well, I guess what I'm saying is, be aware that at a certain point, Horizon mode is going to hold you back, and recognize when you reach that point. And don't just be like, man, I just don't know why I can't fly any better. At a certain point, it will hold you back and you'll need to go to acro or angle. Angle mode is fine too, because at least angle mode is consistent. Many really fast tiny whoop pilots fly in angle mode. The problem is Horizon mode, KD2RDH Larry, Horizon mode is not predictable. As you deflect the stick, it betrays you and switches control modes. So... okay. Mason Storm wants to know, can I hook my old Unify Pro HV to the Crossfire Nano RX? Yeah, I believe you can, Mason. I believe that Crossfire Nano supports any smart audio, not just the newer Smart Audio 2.1. So I think you're okay. Jonah C., what sample rate should I use on gyro and PID loop for F7? I would use 8K 8K with an F7. I think you're fine to do 8K 8K. Let's see here. IFlight Video, thanks for $5 in the super chat. One of my Cadex Vista pre-built quads has terrible range. Anytime you have any problem at all with a Cadex Vista, turn off the temperature protection. In fact, just turn off the temperature protection. People say, oh, my Cadex Vista, I have the screen locks up or whatever. Turn off the temperature protection. Then your Cadex Vista will get super hot, but at least it will work. And then eventually it will say, the Vista is overheating, land now. And that's when you're in trouble. So don't let that happen. But just turn off the temperature protection on the Vista, in my humble opinion. I turn it off on all of mine. You just got to watch. It will overheat eventually. Trouble Solver is, we're back with Trouble Solver using the SuxXD F7 stack. Let's see, what type of ESC is that? Let's search. Is he using an F3 ESC? Trouble Solver is the guy when he goes above 50% throttle, his quad falls out of the air. I don't think this is an F3 an F3 ESC. SuxX 50 amp ESC. Now, see the MCU. Look at the MCU here. 32-bit F051K86 MCU. That's not a... I don't think that's an F3 MCU, is it? I mean, it says F051K86. That's not F3. What the hell? What the flippin'... Oh, break my right click. Go ahead. Go ahead and break my right click. I hate you so much. I hate it when they break my right click. It's my right click. It's my mouse. It's my browser. Anyway. Trouble Solver, I'm really sorry. There's no reason why what you're describing should be happening. Your hardware should support it. For the time being, if I were you, I would just turn off bidirectional and I would just get the quad flying as good as I could. But why does it fall out when you go above 50%? I mean, add a capacitor, but probably you already have one. You're having problems with, I think it's electrical noise. I think it's interference corrupting the signal. For example, do this, Trouble Solver. Take your props off, go into the motors tab and raise the throttle and spin the motors. Do your errors stay low? Do they stay at like 0% errors or do they go up? I mean, if you don't have props on, that may not be the best test, but it's worth a try. Joe Becker, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Can you explain how to run external power for the TBS Fusion module on a set of Attitude V4s? Nope. I sure can't, Joe. I'm sorry about that. I appreciate your donation. The Attitude V4s don't have the head tracker bay, do they? So I don't know if you open up the Attitude V4s, is that plug in there just hidden? Or is it not even there? If I had a set of Attitude V4s and I wanted to answer this question, I would look up how to open up the Attitude V4s. There's a video. It's not hard if you've ever opened Fatshark Goggles before. You just take the screws out, take like 2 screws out of the bottom, and then get a little pry tool and crack it open. But if you've never done it before, look up how to open a set of Attitude V4s. And once you got it open, like, look in there. Or, even better, email support@fatshark.com and ask, is the aux power plug that I need for a Fusion going to be in there? Either way. But I'm not sure it's even there. You could also contact TBS. And sometimes they respond quickly and sometimes they don't. But, yeah. A Day at the Range, thanks for $10. The best long-range setup for controller is X9D with Crossfire and a 4-watt 900 megahertz booster. What? Yeah, no. That is going to get you pretty freaking far. a 4-watt booster on 900 megahertz, and an 8-watt 5 gigahertz booster on a Vista, not the Air unit. Yep, that'll do it. You got an 8-watt booster on the quad a day at the range? That will... I mean, the thing is, the DJI system has a built-in range limit of, I think it's like 6 or 7 kilometers. I can't remember the number, unless you're using the 50 megabit per second firmware. So, yeah, you got more than enough power, but you're not going to get past about, I think it's 6 kilometers. Trouble Solver, thanks for another 500 Norwegian kroner. You're very, very generous, Trouble Solver. I wish we could have solved your problem, solved your trouble. Blazeby 3D and RC wants to know how my 3D printing's going. My 3D printing's going good. I haven't made any content. I've just been... That's the problem, see? All my content is about problem solving, but I've just had no problems, so I've had nothing to comment on. Where's the most recent... where's my most recent post? I posted on my Instagram a recent post. Yeah, there we go. I posted on my Instagram. Thank you, Nachos FPV, by the way, for making this GoPro mount. The link to it is actually in the thread somewhere. He commented. I needed a GoPro mount real quick before I went on this trip. And I was like, oh, crap, I don't have time to order a GoPro mount. And then I was like, wait, I own a 3D printer. Head slap. And I dare say it came out pretty freaking good. That's printed on my Sovol SV01 printer. Came out pretty freaking good. Right? I mean, come on. That's a good looking print. I was a little skeptical that the lettering would come out okay because it like had overhang, but it came out all right. It's very nice. So, no content coming out, but 3D printing going smoothly. I think the next big challenge for 3D printing for me is going to be PETG. I haven't graduated from PLA to PETG. I tried to print PETG way back when I was starting. It went really badly, and I said maybe I ought to learn the basics before I try and use more advanced filament. So, Oliver Dathy? Thank you for €5. Which BL Heli firmware do you currently recommend with Betaflight 421? I go with the latest official firmware. I think BL Heli S actually... Oh, hey, news of the day. BL Heli S actually added official support for bidirectional filtering. So if you don't want to use JESC, I think you can use... I think it's BL Heli 16.9. And you can... what I would say is use the official BL Heli firmware or use JESC. Jazz Maverick, people have been telling me Jazz Maverick has been doing some screwy things. Like adding in some kind of thrust compensation curve to the firmware or changing the way RPM filtering worked so it wasn't reading every single sample. I don't know what Jazz Maverick is doing, but I would stick with JESC or BL Heli. Pavel Spikowski points out, in the long run, PLA is simpler and better. The downside of PLA, I think, is that it's not as heat resistant. So if you had something, like, for example, well, anything that's going to be subject to heat, PLA can melt and deform. PETG is more durable. OCD FPV wants to know if I'm still using the firmware that's in my TPU video. OCD, I switched to the Sovol Silent mainboard, and that has Marlin 2.0 firmware on it. I'm still using Marlin 2.0. Carlos Fadi, thank you for $5. I swear to God, this is the super chat. I have to read it. Join JB's Patreon. You will get access to a Discord, monthly giveaways, epic content, chat with hundreds of other pilots. Enjoy it all. I do want to say, I always have the attitude that I have to do everything myself. And oftentimes I reach a point where I'm completely overwhelmed. And then I am like, okay, this is just falling off the list and I can't do this. And sometimes my Discord server is the thing that I'm just like, I cannot keep up with my Discord server today. And it is so rewarding and just makes me just feel like there's hope for the world to look on my Discord server after not having looked at it all day and see so many other people helping and answering questions, and other people are like, this Discord server is just the best, it's so helpful and such a positive environment, and I'm like, I didn't do that. I have been here all day. So big shout out and major thanks to all of the folks who make my Discord server so amazing, so helpful, even when I'm not there. I always start my day by answering my emails and my direct messages, and then when that's all done, the next thing I do is I go check in on my Discord server. But a lot of times there's not a lot of spare time for just hanging out, and it's so great that there are other people who are there hanging out, making it so valuable, and such a great place to be. So if you would like to be a part of that amazing community, you can join my Patreon. Link in the video description. For as little as $2 a month, you get access to my Discord server, and you can hang out with all these wonderful people. Here we go. Say hello, wonderful people. Boop. There they are. Look at all these wonderful people. Hashenberg, Tim J. Howitz, Keith Drones. Yeah, there they are. I'm going to wait for them to catch up and say hello. A Day at the Range says I missed his first 2 super chats. What are you talking about? I got your long range setup, A Day at the Range. What else did I miss? Oh, hang on. Oh my God. How did I miss super chats? Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. Let me go all the way back and check. Where did I mess up super chats? The patrons can have the live stream for a minute while I check the super chats. Trouble Solver. Got you. A Day at the Range. Thank you for $20 a day at the range. Very sorry for missing your super chat. A little update. I got past the 11-mile mark with the Vista unit, but the boosters are not working as well with the Air unit. I'm just not getting as far as I think I should. Once you get around, if you're doing 50 meg firmware, you can get up to like 12 miles and then the link breaks. Vampire 49.97. Thank you for $5. Sorry for missing your super chat, Vampire. Crossfire Nano just rapidly blinks green and won't bind. Blinking green, I think, means it's in bootloader mode. You need to look up, Vampire. Look up the... You patrons better not do anything that gets me copyright struck or community guidelines. No nudes. Okay, that's okay. Vampire, Crossfire Nano blinking green rapidly means it's in bootloader mode. You need to use the emergency recovery. Google Crossfire emergency recovery. Okay? That's what you need to do. Nick Spud, thank you for $5. I missed a whole block of super chats. I'm so sorry, guys. Nick Spud, thank you for $5. I just flashed a Brain FPV Radix on 4.2. I can't raise the PID loop above 3.2 kilohertz. What gives? Nick, the gyro on the Radix is locked at 3.2 kilohertz. It always was, but Betaflight Configurator lied to you and said 8K or whatever, just to keep you from being confused. There's nothing wrong here. That's just how it works. And don't worry about it. Just leave it at 3.2 kilohertz. Army 165, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Any suggestions for large 7-inch frames? Availability seems to be hit or miss. Yeah, I agree, Army 165. What are some good 7-inch frames? Catalyst Machine Works Bang God. There's a 7-inch version. I bet you that there's a 7-inch version of the TBS Source 1, just because, of course, there must be. What is a great 7-inch frame? Let me ask in the chat. What's a great 7-inch frame? Alex John, thank you for 25 PLN. I'm very sorry I missed your message, Alex John. What good battery manufacturer would you recommend for 6S LiPos? Funny you ask that, Alex John. I have recently, this Friday, I released... Wow, okay. There we go. I just released a new set of battery test results, and here's the link to the video and the link to the Google spreadsheet where you can see the results. The very first batches. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get manufacturers to send me all of their packs. Now, this is a little bit different than what I did before. Let's see here. Got some people suggesting 7-inch frames. TBS Source 1 with Dead Cat arms. Project 399 Super G. The BQE Bandolero 7. Let's see. Catalyst Machine Works Banggood 7. Let's see here. Pavel Smikowski has his own long-range frame. The Pirks 7. A lot of people saying the Project 399 Super G. IFlight has 7-inch. I hate to... IFlight, I always like him like, oh, IFlight. Kind of don't want to freak out. Will Open TX 2.4 give the Nirvana a new lease on life, asks Steve Mann. Yes, it will. That's the short answer. So anyway, my new plan is to get manufacturers to send as many packs to me as possible. That's why the very first round of results are from Get FPV and Race Day Quads. Basically, I went to Race Day Quads and said, will you send me all of your batteries? And they sent me like $500 worth of batteries. And then I went to Get FPV and I said, hey, will you send me like all of your batteries? And they sent me like, I don't know how much, slightly fewer batteries, but still a lot of batteries. And then Tattoo got in there just by coincidence. And my hope is that now when other manufacturers see these results, they'll go, well, I want to be on that list. So if you want to know what good batteries are, here's the spreadsheet. You can check it out. But more importantly, let me copy the link here. More importantly, I hope that, like, people are like, why isn't China Hobbyline? Why isn't China Hobbyline on there? Why isn't GNB on there? And I'm like, yeah, China Hobbyline. I would like you to send me one of every one of your batteries, and I will test them and put them on this list. GNB, Tattoo Funfly, Ovonic. If you, let me go to my head cam so I can really make eye contact and really, if you're a battery manufacturer, I want you on this list. Contact me. I'm going to tell you the address where to send the batteries, and I will test all of your batteries. You give me the batteries. Obviously, I'm not going to buy, I don't want, see, here's the thing. People are like, well, why don't you buy them? Because, you know, aren't you worried about them cherry picking? I acknowledge that's a risk, but the thing is, I can't afford to buy all of every battery on the market. It was like literally Race Day Quad sent me like $500 retail worth of batteries. Okay, if it was $500, I would be like, okay, maybe it's worth it. But it's $500 from Get FPV, $500 from Race Day Quads, $500 from Tattoo, $500 from CNHL. I can't do it. So I'm like, okay, if you want, send me all of your batteries. I'll test all of them. And I would love to do that as much as possible. Now, the trade-off there is it possible that, like, somebody is going to send me, like, super good cherry-picked cells? I can't rule that out, but I don't think that's super likely because, like, they make cells, they put them on the shelf in a warehouse, and then when they send them to me, they just pull them off the shelf and they send them out the door. I mean, when you're talking about a manufacturer, like a GNB, like a Tattoo, like a China Hobbyline, it's theoretically possible that they have, like, really good cells. But I don't think it's super likely. I think they just make cells. They come off the manufacturing line. They go on a shelf in the warehouse. They go out to retailers. It's not like they're holding back the super good ones just to trick reviewers. It's possible, but I don't think it's likely. So you could decide for yourself, but... Chris R. says, are you worried about tests being a single data point as opposed to a statistically relevant sample? Chris, I am worried about that. There's no reasonable way to deal with that. Because here's the thing. To get a statistically relevant sample, you would need 30 to 50 maybe packs, and you would need to test them all. I would rather test 30 different packs than test one pack 30 times. See what I mean? But yeah, I mean, there's a limit. There's only so much time. I mean, if I say to a manufacturer, please send me 30 of one pack, they're not, there's no value in that for them. I acknowledge that this is not perfect, that if we had infinite time and money, there would be ways to make it better, but I hope that it's better than nothing. Huff Huff 19 FPV, what information would I need if I want someone to custom make 3D parts for my new drone? You should reach out to someone like Brett Collier at BMC 3D. He does that kind of work. Let me finish clearing out the super chats that I somehow missed. A day at the range, thank you for $10 more. I think it's the antenna. I need to use a patch, but what else could increase my range? I mean, you've got a signal booster and you've got a patch antenna. You could go to a higher gain antenna a day at the range, but that's about it. Remember, though, DJI itself has a built-in limit of, I think it's about 6 kilometers when you're on 25 megabits per second mode, or 12 kilometers when you're on 50 megabit per second mode. And when you hit that limit, it doesn't matter how much signal strength you have, you cannot go any further. And now I'm caught up. Apparently there was just a huge block of super chats that I missed. I do apologize. I apologize to those of you who donated and I didn't get to yours very quickly. I suck. Let's see. I see what happened. I got distracted by Trouble Solver and I forgot to work back and I worked forward. Well, let's see here. Trouble Solver, Oliver, Attaboy. Attaboy, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Will a bigger capacitor help with noise on my video transmitter? Yeah, I mean, it to a point. Attaboy, like if you've got a 220 and you go to a 1000 microfarad, it'll make a big difference. If you've got a 1000 and you go to a 2000, it's not going to make as much of a difference. I think by the time you're at 1000 microfarad, you probably don't need to go any bigger and you need to explore other ways of solving video noise problems. Johnny DRC, thank you for $5. Thanks for all the help with my flight controller. Oh, well, thank you, Johnny. I'm glad I helped. Laheen Ahmedov, thank you for $5. Can you see if these PIDs are too high? Patrons chat pick. Thank you. Let's see what Laheen is doing in the patrons chat. Are these PIDs too high? It's really impossible to answer that question because it depends on so many other factors. Like, for a 5-inch quad, 90 and 125 P gain is ridiculously high. But if this is a tiny whoop, that could be pretty normal. The other thing I see is that your PD balance, your P's are about twice as big as your D's. I guess that's not that unusual. A PD balance of about 2-to-1 to 1-to-1 to me seems kind of normal. Your P's are super high for a 5-inch though. So I would say, Laheen, what, let's see, Laheen, Turk 777. Turk, what quad is it, Turk? Let's see. He says, I'm trying to look, he's talking. It flies like the steel quad. No hot motors. P gains won't make your motors hot, Turk. D gains will make your motors hot. So it's a Sedora SL5. So like if you like the way it flies, then obviously go with it. P gain will make the quad fly sharper, but I would try and make the quad fly sharper with feed forward, not P gain. I would be worried about excess. So it feels to me like the PIDs that you've got on a 5-inch are going to cause a lot of prop wash oscillation, these super high P gains. And if you had a PD balance of maybe 1-to-1, so if your D's were also around 90 or 100, then maybe your prop wash would be okay. But then with D gains that high, you would have super hot motors. So I feel like probably if I were to tune this quad, I'll bet I would feel like the P was too high. It was a little too kind of stiff with prop wash wanting to come out, and I would lower P and raise feed forward and see if that got what I wanted. But obviously at the end of the day, if you're happy with how it flies, that's what really matters. A day at the range, thank you for $5. Custom firmware. Oh, I see. A day at the range, you're the guy who built your own DJI firmware to get rid of that range limit. Yes, you are in a very rare situation that almost no one in the world will find themselves in. So a day at the range, if you've removed the firmware limit, then here's what you need to do. 2 things you need to do. Number 1, an amplifier, a signal amplifier. But on the quad, there's only so much you can do unless it's a big quad. So if you've got like an 8-watt amplifier, first of all, be aware the FCC probably doesn't like that you're doing that, because this is like a, I mean, I don't know, if you have a ham license, maybe it's okay. I'm not sure. A Part 15 device, you're not allowed to do that. So presumably you have your ham license. There's two things you can do. One is the signal booster, and the other is a directional antenna. So if you've got a patch antenna, that probably has like a 90-degree beam width or a 30-degree beam width. To truly keep pushing range, you're going to need to go to a much higher gain antenna with a much narrower beam width. And the problem is, at that point, you need a signal track. You need a tracker to help as you fly the quad to point the antenna at the quad. There's two kinds of trackers you can get. One uses a downlink from the quad to report GPS location, and then it tracks the quad based on that. The other uses signal strength, and it'll have multiple antennas, and as the quad flies off one antenna and towards another, it rotates the antenna to keep it in the center. But once you get to a point where your antenna is super narrow, there's no way. You either have to just fly straight out and back, which if that's your mission, okay. But at a certain point, you have to get like a ground station with a tracker. So that's the answer at Day at the Range. Cutback 420 wants to know, what is the recommended battery weight to quad weight ratio again? There's a rule of thumb that someone gave me in Facebook chat, and I don't remember who it was. To you, sir, I apologize for that. But the number that's stuck in my head that this person derived, and it seems to me like it makes sense, is that the battery should not weigh more than about 1/3 the total weight of the quad. So for a typical 5-inch freestyle quad, the quad weighs about 400 grams, the battery weighs about 200 grams. That's about right. Yeah, a Day at the Range, if you have a big drone, like 10,000 milliamp hour pack, then you could potentially get a larger signal booster. Part of the problem with your signal booster is that you're raising the noise floor near the quad. If you've got an 8-watt 5 gigahertz signal booster, eventually you're going to start making problems for your crossfire control. 8 watts, you should be able to go pretty freaking far on 8 watts. HZQ wants to know, might be a dumb question, but does using a higher kV motor make the quad feel lighter? HZQ, to a point, I see what you're getting at. The higher kV motor will give you more RPM. If we assume that the quad has power to spare, higher RPM will give you more punch and more thrust. So it could make the quad feel lighter. I wouldn't say that it makes it feel lighter personally, because I feel like the throttle punch is not the only way that a quad's weight affects its handling. A heavy quad with high kV motors is still going to corner like crap, but it's going to be a little punchier. Yeah. So I don't think a heavy quad can be made to feel like a light quad no matter what you do with the motors. But to some degree, you're in the right direction. Durzo FPV, thanks for $2. GNB is the best. Durzo says that. GNB are good packs, but folks in the Discord are speculating about why DJI cuts out after a certain distance. No one knows for sure. Maybe a Day at the Range knows for sure since he's building custom firmware. But the gist of it is that the DJI data link has acknowledgement and retransmission. And if you send a packet of data and the acknowledgement doesn't come back, then it's retransmitted. And the theory is that when you get past a certain distance, the delay of the link is so long that the acknowledgement cannot make it back in time and the link just times out. Not Illusion asks, can you help me out? I have a new build with 3 to 4 hertz oscillations when I have the throttle at 0 and the quad is falling. Not Illusion, if you're using Betaflight 4.2, this is a thing some people have observed. A couple things you can do to fix it. Number 1, turn off D-min. Number 2, if you're using dynamic idle, turn off dynamic idle. Number 3, raise the D gain about 20%. Change the PD balance slider to raise the D gain about 20%. Number 3, if you're using 48 kilohertz PWM frequency in BL Heli, change to 24K instead. Own Drone says signal boosters on the DJI goggles? No, Own Drone, if you're talking about a day at the range, he's using Cadex Vista and he's got a signal booster on the quad. And a signal booster won't change the latency of the signal, though. That's the thing. The problem with the DJI, where after a certain distance it stops working, it's latency, not signal strength. That's the problem. And more power won't change latency. It's the literal speed of light that the signal propagates through the air, through space. Exactly. It's not an amplitude problem. Aaron Johnson, thank you for 50 Swedish kroner. Is it a good time to buy TBS Crossfire or wait for TBS V2? I mean, they just released the TBS Micro V2. So if you're in for the Micro, I don't think anything new is coming anytime soon. Does the curvature of the Earth affect distance? John Dyson. John, yeah, depending on your altitude, eventually, like the number I have in my head is about 12 miles, where the curvature of the Earth starts to matter. The higher up you are, though, the less it matters. But yeah, eventually, when you get far enough out, the curvature of the Earth will affect your radio link. However, I don't think the DJI system typically has enough range where the curvature of the Earth would become an issue. Jeweler says, but if you push harder on the signal, it should fly faster. No, not correct. Like kicking a ball really stronger makes it fly faster, right? No. The propagation speed of an RF signal is solely determined by the medium in which it's moving. So, for example, if you transmit a signal through outer space, it travels basically at the speed of light, and the amplitude of the signal is higher, right? It has more energy, but the speed of propagation is the same. Putting more output power into a signal does not make it move faster. Protentogo says, my quad is a bit shaky on throttle punches. Should I try to tune it out? If you have shakes at high throttle only, you could try lowering P gain. That could be it. Oh, Julder says it was a joke. I don't know, Julder. That's, I mean, you say, Julder says I'm not that stupid. A lot of people don't understand these concepts, so I don't think it's a stupid question. Zain Wasif says, I have a BL Heli S ESC. If I want to use it with a fixed wing plane, can I program it? Can it drive reversible direction? BL Heli ESC can be programmed and can be reversed. The problem you're going to have, Zain, is that the ESC is pretty much assumed to be programmed via a flight controller. The older airplane ESCs, you would like hold the throttle up and count the beeps and lower the throttle to reverse direction. But BL Heli ESCs, I don't know if they even still do that. Do they? So I wouldn't, I mean, you'd need to have some way to program it, like maybe with an Arduino. But yeah, you totally could do it. KBNYC says, how do you tune your quad to fly 3D? I'm going to refer you to the queen of 3D, Zoe FPV. All right. I don't need to hear the Rotorite music. KBNYC, here's how to tune your quad, how to convert your freestyle quad to 3D. I'll put it in the regular chat as well. You guys want to check that out. You can actually, any modern ESC, BL Heli ESC can do 3D. So if you're tempted by 3D, you can give it a try. Adrian Shkumbov says, is the speed of light really the limiting factor? I would think it would be processing time in the receiver. I mean, Adrian, the processing time does exist, but it's very, very small. So, a day at the range. Thanks for a day at the range. You just keep giving me super chats, even though I ignored them for a while. Thank you very much for your generosity. The custom firmware helps predict and fix the distortion the distance creates, but you need boosters to get out that far. Yeah, that's Yeah, you need both signal strength and latency to be solved. I still am trying to figure out. Yeah, I know you explained it to me in a previous live stream how you managed to make custom firmware for the DJI system, because I'm pretty sure DJI doesn't want you to do that. I know you explained it to me, but I was like, I kind of nodded along. What are the best props for 3D? Asks Eric Holst. I mean, it's got to be Zoe's props. Zoe was flying these. They were like the best 3D props you could get, but they were not great. And then she developed in partnership with, was it GemFan? Who was it? Hang on. Let's get this right. Excuse me. Just going to keep, okay, let's see. I mean, surely, yeah, okay. So Zoe developed in partnership with GemFan a custom designed 3D prop. And like, I don't know anyone else in the world who has bothered to try to make a good 3D prop. So I guess this must be the best. Because, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Zoe. If there were other people making 3D props, hers would probably still be the best because she's awesome. But I don't know because I don't fly 3D. But I guess I'm like, okay, well, this is probably the best one because it's like she's the only one who's even tried. So, yeah, KBNYC, you need 3D props because the props need to be symmetrical. They need to push air both directions. Most props are not designed to do that. Te-Ah says, will we ever see optical flow sensors on FPV systems? Yes. Yes, we will see that. Is it Maytech? Yeah. Maytech currently sells an optical flow and LiDAR sensor. Betaflight doesn't support it, but iNav does. You could put this on your iNav build right now. It works decent. I actually recently got a chance to fly a quad with one of these. It's kind of weird. As long as you're within about 1 meter of the ground, when you release the sticks, it just doesn't drift. It's kind of cool. It's pretty good. Von Zek asks, did you watch the new Corridor Crew quad rescue video? Yep, I did, and I'm so glad I got my quad rescue video out first, because otherwise people would have accused me of copying them. Theirs is awesome. Obviously, Corridor Crew is amazing, but I'm glad I got mine out first. Joe Becker, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I have split the case. No port visible for external power, but someone suggested running power from the barrel connector. Is that feasible or even safe? Good question, Joe. What I would want to know is the input voltage of the module. So let's see if we can find the answer to that. The nominal input voltage of most of these adapters is 5 volts, so you could not run it from 2S. But let's see if TBS tells you different. Nope. It says 5 volt, 340 milliamp hours, 500 milliamp hours with connectivity enabled. Do not connect it to the barrel plug. You will fry it. I mean, try, you never know. Try it. See if you get low voltage. See if the goggle freaks out. You could also install a 5 volt regulator if you really wanted to. Yeah, Pavel, I got to fly an iNav build with optical flow sensor recently. I was really impressed. The only thing about the optical flow sensor that I didn't like was that you're sitting there and then you release the sticks and the quad is just like, I got this. Because it has, I think it has sonar or LiDAR built in. So it holds position with the optical flow, but it also holds altitude. But you're still flying in like acro mode or angle mode, but it just holds position. Anyway, so but then if you fly too high, it can't do it anymore because it loses track of the ground. And then you're like, oh, suddenly it's not there. So it's a little unpredictable, but anyway, pretty nice, pretty nice. Gabe FPV says, how do you record your sticks? Gabe FPV, I have a tutorial for how to do it, how to do my stick overlay. Hey Joshua, how you doing, man? I got a video about how to do it. It's actually a new method that I've been using. I should make a video about soon. Yeah, Pavel, the 1 meter limit is due to the laser itself. Yeah, I understand. It's disappointing that it, I mean, you know, you give me something good and then I say, can't I have something even better? Day at the Range says, when the custom firmware stops burning up air units, I'll release it. Ouch. Yeah, don't release that. Trouble Solver, thank you for another 50 kroner. I just realized when I set up BL Heli, I didn't swap the reversed and normal bidirection. Maybe this will fix it. Hang on, Trouble Solver. Hold on, Trouble Solver. I think we figured out the problem. I don't have a quad handy that I could easily plug in. Don't turn on bidirectional in BL Heli. In BL Heli motor direction, you want normal or reversed, not bidirectional. If you're trying to do bidirection, oh my God, that's the answer. That's the answer. Holy crap. I know the answer. You turned on bidirectional mode in BL Heli. That means that the ESC is in 3D mode. When you go above 50% throttle, the ESC reverses itself, and that's why the quad falls out of the air. Trouble Solver, we have solved your trouble. Your ESCs need to be normal or reversed only. Bidirectional D-shot is different from bidirectional motor direction in BL Heli. That's the answer. It's so confusing because they both use the word bidirectional, but they're completely separate. Boom. That's the answer. I should make a video about that. Put that on my schedule. Go to my editorial calendar. Where am I going to put this? Too many build series. I'm going to do a build series in September. Oh, okay. I guess I'm going to do that. How about here? There we go. That's not confusing. Boom. Okay, now it's on the calendar. If you guys want to know what's coming up on my channel, I have an editorial calendar. It's on the internet. It's not actually linked in any of my menus. You just have to know the URL for now. It's secret. Yeah. You can see what's coming up on my channel at that website. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's 2:51. Trouble Solver, I'm so glad we actually solved your problem after all this back and forth and all these Kroner that you sent. Thank you for your generosity. That's the problem. What could cause turtle mode to work, but the motors don't spin in the reverse direction? Evan Bourgeois. Evan Bourgeois, the number one thing that would cause that is that the ESC doesn't support D-shot commands. But that's really unlikely. All modern ESCs should support that. If you happen to have like a super old ESC, then that would explain it. You can also test with D-shot motor beeper and see if that works. Bannister Post says, when I lost my quad, you mentioned I needed an external beeper. It turns out I was a little bit underwater. Would the beeper still have worked? That's a tough one, Bannister. I mean, I'm sure it would have been trying to beep. Would you have been able to hear it when it was underwater? I'm not so sure about that. Water propagates very different than air. Big Data Pimp asks, are you sure you're in turtle mode? The way to know if you're in turtle mode or not is that only 2 motors will spin instead of all 4, and the motors will not spin when you arm. So that's the way to confirm it. Trouble Solver, I want Trouble Solver, you got to get back to me and let me know that you saw the answer. You got to get back to me and let me know you saw the answer, because I feel we finally solved the problem, and I live for that. So, okay. All right. Well, guys, we're coming to the end of the stream. They're going to be going off the air at 3. I will be streaming again at 8 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, back to our normal schedule, Sunday and Monday. And I think that Siati is streaming at 3, right, Siati? Are you here, buddy? I know he's here. There he is. What is the turtle mode before beeper on 3-position switch problem? Tell me about that. I'm not familiar with that, Siati. Yes, Trouble Solver is confirming that that's the solution. Yes. Yeah, Trouble Solver, what happens is that when you go above 50%, the ESC thinks you're telling it to reverse, and then the flight controller is like, what is going on here? The motors are spinning the wrong direction, and the flight controller disarms. Or something like that. Oh, there he is. Siati's going to be coming up. He is posting links to his stream, which is going to be starting at 3 o'clock when I go off the air. And we're going to be finishing up our stream. Bastian Sonderman. Bastian, post a link to your GitHub. There's a new method for doing the stick overlay. I have been extracting the stick overlay directly from the black box viewer, and the problem, there's 2 problems with that. One is the black box viewer rendering the video is slow as crap, and the second problem is that you have to key out the black part to remove the background, and that's pretty processor intensive in Photoshop. Bastian Sonderman made a utility that takes your black box files and generates a stick overlay. It is way faster, and it has transparency built in. So if you are wanting to do stick overlays, Bastian's utility is really great. Can you try to post the link, Bastian? There's a GitHub link. I don't have it handy, but I bet he does. Thank you to Bastian for coming up with that. It has really sped up the workflow for any video where I have stick overlay. Siati is saying if you put ESC beeper on the center position of a 3-position switch and turtle on the furthest position. I see. So here's the reason for that, Siati. Anytime you are beeping the ESC and then you try to spin the motors, Betaflight will put a delay in before it will let you arm the quad. And you'll see this in the OSD. It'll say, like, waiting to arm, 109876544321. And I only first discovered this on my Xylo budget build, where I have beeper and pre-arm on the same switch. So it'll be beeping, and you'll flick arm, and you have to keep holding the arm switch until the countdown finishes, and then it'll arm. But in that case, Siati, it would not arm at all. What you're describing is that the motors don't reverse, and that's a little different. I'd be curious about that. Tomas Ariels, welcome to your first live stream. Glad you enjoyed it, and hope you come back. So I put angle and turtle on the same switch and beeper on a separate switch. Yeah. What do you think about the EV300D goggle? Good or bad idea for the price? Asked NCH008. NCH008, the problem with the EV300D is there was excessive latency at first. Then they released firmware that fixed the latency, but a lot of people are reporting visual glitches, like literal, like smearing and glitching in the video. And then they just stopped and they released a new goggle. So I can't recommend that you buy the EV300D because they never fixed the problem with it. I don't consider it to be a finished product, and I think they've just given up. They're like, well, this is as good as it's going to get, because it's been months since they released an update. They released a lot of updates over the course of a few weeks, and then they seem to have just been like, okay, well, that's it. And then here comes the EV300O, as Fubar Phil points out in the Discord, which hopefully they don't have latency problems with it, and it has OLED screens, which is pretty exciting. But for anybody who bought an EV300D, I feel really bad. And I came out with the review of the EV300D, and I said it has latency problems and I can't recommend it. And so many people were up my butt about that. And they were like, what do you mean? It's a good goggle. And I'm like, it would be a good goggle if the latency wasn't 100 milliseconds. And they were like, yeah, but they released firmware that fixed it. And I'm like, some people put that firmware on their goggles and had good results. But I see on the eSheen Facebook group, there are people who are saying that they have visual glitches and their product doesn't work. And what am I supposed to just ignore that those people are having that problem? So, anyway. Okay, there you go. Oh, I wanted to show that message. Yeah. Will an ESC upgrade from BLHeli-S to BLHeli-32 help with prop wash? No, I don't think so. That's mostly a flight controller thing more than an ESC thing. Cordline says, how do you set up endpoints on a tiny whoop that doesn't use Betaflight, KISS, etc.? Well, I guess in the controller. In the controller. I'm sorry, I can't be more specific. All right, guys, it's 2:59 p.m. We're going to finish up. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you to everybody who donated to the Super Chat. Thanks to everybody who asked amazing questions and left comments. Vandan Patel, I built a new quad. I did everything correctly. When I plugged in the battery, I got sparks. Can you please help me? If you just mean one pop, if you mean one little pop when you plug in, that's normal. If you mean constant sparking and fire, you wired it up wrong somehow. Everybody go check out Ciati's live stream, or just, get out and fly. Don't worry about his live stream. It doesn't really matter. No, I'm just joking. Ciati is going to be going up. He is going to be doing Sim Sunday and Q&A, FPV Cycle Glide and NanoCam, and 15mm standoffs. I don't think anybody would want to miss that. So that's going to do it for me, though. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. and throughout the week on my channel. Happy flying, everybody.